Welcome to another edition of Wake Up America, Wake Up. I wanted to talk again about the southern border crisis, but I'm going to deviate slightly, and then I will come back around and give you my thoughts once again about the crisis. Because what's happening right now is the biggest focus that the government is narrating to the public is what's happening in Ukraine.
The Kremlin demanding a guarantee Ukraine won't join NATO as over 100,000 heavily armed Russian troops mass on Ukraine's borders.
And the United States government under the Biden administration has decided to provide funding of $250 million to the Ukrainian government to defend itself against this possible Russian invasion.
The recently announced military aid is a part of a series of Pentagon payments to Ukraine since 2014. Washington's funding has now reached $1.5 billion.
I find that very ironic because our southern border is being invaded, and yet we are not seeing $250 million being allocated to the Arizona and Texas border in the form of more United States National Guardsmen or more funding for the Customs and Border Patrol agents who are overwhelmed. So to me, the Biden administration has basically said, we're going to prioritize another foreign country's national border crisis, and we're just going to put the United States southern border crisis on hold. Well, I mean, it's been on hold since the start of this presidency, but that goes without saying. What I find insane is that the narrative will be is that we are NATO allies and we need to provide assistance to the Ukraine government, although they're not even part of NATO. They want to be. They're speculating on being a part of NATO, because for NATO, that would be a strategic nation that would have a front towards the Russian nation. But I'm not here to talk about military strategy or world events like that. What I want to talk about is the fact that the Biden administration has basically betrayed the American people once again, not only in the form of shipping illegal, undocumented aliens into the United States and into different parts of the states in the dead of night, but now he's using your tax dollars, our tax dollars, we the people tax dollars, to fund the defense of a foreign nation.
We've been very clear with Russia that any Russian forces going into Ukraine constitute an invasion that will be receiving a very swift, united, and severe response.
So what about us? What about the defense of our borders? Since when does our sovereignty as a nation take second fiddle to another nation? This is exactly what former President Donald J. Trump said about NATO. He said that NATO was basically not providing their share of monetary and military support of operations strategies that the alliance has been working on since its inception. The United States has flipped over 90% of the funding in both financial and military aid as a NATO ally. Yet the other allies have not come even close. And this was one of the defining moments in President Donald J. Trump's presidency, because he called out NATO for what it was.
I have been very, very direct with Secretary Stoltenberg and members of the alliance in saying that NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations. But 23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense.
He said the United States would no longer be the only country that would be flipping the bill for any activities that the other allies were not willing to do their share, to do their part. NATO allies have to provide equal shares as equal partners in this alliance, even if it means in the defense of Russia invading the Ukraine. But once again, let's go back. Do you see NATO allies providing any kind of support for the United States in terms of our invasion that's happening in the southern border? No, you don't. Do you see any financial support? No, you don't. We don't need their military support because we don't want a foreign military on our soil. But in any case, there is no type of support from the NATO allies in defense of our sovereignty as a nation. But the Biden administration, they're just going to outright tell you there is no border crisis. If there's no border crisis, then why is it that he's utilizing ICE, an organization that was developed to track illegal immigrants and get them deported out of the country? Now their role is to be the travel agents. So if you have known criminals that are immigrants, undocumented aliens coming into the country, ICE's objective is now to get that person into a different state while the taxpayers flip the bill for that activity. Now, I know that it's demoralizing for the ICE agents to do something like this. I have plenty of videos that I can show you in defense of what ICE feels is the betrayal of the United States. But like any one of us, they have a job they have to do. If the president's edict is that that's what they're going to be, travel agents, that's what they're going to be. And unless they quit, the repercussions would be worse if they don't abide by this edict by the Biden administration. However, with that said, the Democratic left is also in full support of this invasion of the United States because, again, for every illegal and undocumented alien that comes into this country, that is a vote towards a Democratic seat of authority that's being held by a Democrat. While this disenfranchises United States and naturalized citizens, it is their attempt to maintain power because as of right now, Democrats, as far as popularity, as far as people in favor of what they do as politicians, it's down the toilet. So a lot of these politicians that are Democrats and even Republicans, now we have rhinos, which are Republicans in name only, like Liz Cheney and Adam Schlesinger, who have been censured and a vote is going to make that official. But these are basically politicians that have been contributing to the downfall of this country. And when I say downfall, you see it in the spending spree that's happening. Now, $250 million may not mean a lot to a lot of people because the average person has never seen $250 million. But that is your tax dollars that are being spent to finance a foreign nation's problem, to defend another nation, and we can't defend our own. This thing that's happening in Ukraine, hey, it's a very unfortunate situation, but we have other allies that need to contribute. Our priority, the Biden administration's priority, is to protect our southern border. Enough said. That has to be the priority. But that isn't. And who's to blame? Well, I can clearly, without hesitation, say that those people that voted for Biden to be president, we can blame you. Because this is what you wanted. I guess this is the America you want. That deep-seated hatred that you had for President Donald J. Trump, which Democratic politicians, the media, had hyped up, that even Facebook had hyped up, just brainwashed you. So your thoughts about Donald J. Trump, that he was a bad president? He wasn't. Because we were doing financially well. We weren't depending on foreign oil. We didn't have this looting in America. We didn't have this inflation. We didn't have these shipment container issues, which are keeping food from your shelves, from your stores. We didn't have all that. We didn't have a disastrous withdrawal out of Afghanistan, that we looked like a dog with our tail between our legs. But fortunately, there are patriots out there that are doing something. I mean, even Canada is setting an example by demonstrating their dissent of President Trudeau, who's another socialist fanatic. Look, folks, this is the United States of America. I have no issue with anybody coming into this country if they do it legally. But if you do it illegally, you're breaking the law. So I need you Americans out there to wake up, America. Wake up. Our country is being invaded. Ukraine is on the brink of war with Russia. But our priority has to be the United States of America. Need I say more? If you disagree, comment. If you don't like. But that's what's going on. Ukraine has been prioritized over the southern border. The southern border is no longer a crisis. It is a mega crisis. And the security of this nation is being undermined. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is being undermined. And I'm not a racist for saying this. I'm telling you a fact. If someone breaks the law, they go to jail. They get fined. But apparently the Biden administration feels fit to allow illegal and undocumented aliens to bypass the laws and receive payment for doing it. Payment that comes in the form of your tax dollars. So America, you got to do something. Wake up, America. Wake up. Time is running out. The United States is on the brink of becoming a socialist nation.
We assembled here today are issuing a new decree to be heard in every city, in every foreign capital, and in every hall of power. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.